Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure and vehicle review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, Amazon exclusive, gold label, 1989 Michael Keaton Batman and Batmobile. Now this is something special right here. Sure, they already released this Batmobile with the Flash Wave, but this is the first time we're getting a 1989 McFarlane DC Multiverse Michael Keaton Batman figure. This thing sold out at Amazon immediately, but they put it back up a couple other times. I was lucky enough to be able to get it the second chance. I believe this car is going to be painted slightly differently from the Flash release, and we'll check all that out in depth in the video. For now, let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, the 1989 Batman logo, gold label, DC Multiverse, Batman and Batmobile, 22 inches, 60 centimeters. At the top, Batman with the Batmobile, pretty much the same stuff. At the back, here is the McFarlane Michael Keaton Batman, the Batmobile behind him. He actually fits into the car. At the bottom, bunch of credits, and there is the barcode in case that helps anybody. So no further ado, let's open it up. And of course, I did get two of this set, one of which you open and enjoy, and one to keep unopened in my complete unopened Batman-related action figure collection. And here's this 1989 Batman and Batmobile 2-pack on the bottom, next to the Flash release of the Batmobile on the top. I'm surprised the boxes are exactly the same size, as you get a little bit more with this set. Alright, now that this figure and vehicle out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. They don't come with any traditional accessories. We simply have a display stand for Batman, and then the two removable fins for the Batmobile. Let's go put the fins on before we take a look. The display stand itself, absolutely nothing special, just a regular McFarlane stand we've seen a million times before. Now I found it kind of interesting, it didn't come with a collector's card. I figured there would be one for Batman and one for the Batmobile, but I'm surprised there wasn't at least one for Batman. Not really a big deal, but it's going to bother some people. So I went ahead and popped the fins onto the Batmobile, because frankly, we just don't need to see it without the fins. Now, we have this Batmobile based off the 1989 Batman film starring Michael Keaton. It also made a brief appearance in the Flash movie, and not to mention Batman Returns. But this one is a little bit different from the Batmobile they made for the Flash movie. That one is super glossy. This one is a little bit flatter and has a matte finish, a little bit more accurate to the movie. Looks better. The canopy doesn't stick out as much, so I'd say it's an improvement. And then we have the Michael Keaton Batman. This is awesome. I have my little nitpicks and stuff, but it's really cool that McFarlane has made a 7-inch scale Michael Keaton Batman from the 1989 movie, not just from the Flash movie. That is fantastic. In this video, we're going to take a look at both the figure and the vehicle. We will check it out with a bunch of other similar type figures and vehicles. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and start off with Michael Keaton Batman figure, and then we'll get to the Batmobile. Ton of comparisons. So here's the Michael Keaton Batman figure. One of my favorite Batman movies. Probably not my favorite anymore, but I was 5 years old when 1989 hit, and this movie has held a special place in my heart ever since then. Really cool to see this guy in 7-inch scale. He, of course, has a cloth soft goods cape in order to be able to fit into the Batmobile. So let's take a look. The head, the face, they look fantastic. The ears are tall. The, I don't know, sort of expression on the brow, the sculpting above the eyes could be maybe just a little bit better. But it does capture the essence. The mouth, the chin, the eyes, they all look great. Excellent job for Michael Keaton. Now, one thing I don't like is how the head and the neck are two separate pieces. It kind of makes me think of the Christian Bale Dark Knight Batman, the way the neck is smaller to the head. You're telling me they can do it for Hush Batman and give him the head and neck one solid piece that we don't want, but they can't do it for the Michael Keaton Batman where it would look and make a lot more sense? This should be all one solid piece. The articulation should be underneath this cowl, kind of like how NECA did it. So that bothers me a little bit. It just doesn't look the way it should right here. It should sort of just go down seamlessly. Like I said, just gives me Christian Bale Dark Knight suit vibes there. Beyond that, almost everything is really nice on this guy. So the belt is gold. The bat symbol is gold. And it has that unique 1989 bat symbol with the extra points, although you can barely see them. Now, I have mixed feelings on this sort of ab crunch here. I want as much articulation as possible in these figures, but if you move them, it looks bad. In the movie, it was one solid armor piece, and it looks good when like this, but it's very easy to make it look weird and bad, and just, he shouldn't be able to move like that. Like I said, I don't even know if I want it or don't want it. It's hard to explain, but it can look bad easily. I want as much articulation as I can, so, I'm kind of stuck in the middle there. Now, his hands. What the hell? They gave him 2 fisted hands? This guy's supposed to drive the Batmobile, and there is a steering wheel in there, and you gave him 2 fisted hands? That's a pretty poor decision. It's got the fins here, pretty good size. Double-jointed elbows. Double-jointed knees. His feet, the shoes look good. This part, very reminiscent of the film. I feel like the sort of shin guard should be a little bit bigger, sticking out more. I don't know, maybe not. The cloth soft goods cape, obviously it's for the Batmobile. McFarlane typically uses plastic capes, but it looks pretty good. It drapes down nicely with him. You can stretch it out and do that sort of signature 1989 thing. Very nice. Very nice indeed. It's a very good figure. Not perfect. The head, neck area bothers me. The head itself looks good. As a whole, nice job. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. I personally think the chin looks fantastic. The lines around the mouth area, the eyes, the height of the ears. The top of the cowl could have a little bit better sculpt. And then the bottom part where the neck is just kind of messes it up for me a little bit. Totally makes me think of the Christian Bale Dark Knight suit. And as much as I like that suit, that's not a compliment for this particular Batman. So, I won't beat the dead horse to stick too much longer, but the head, the neck, and the cowl should have been one solid piece with the articulation underneath. Just my 2 cents. You can do it for Hush Batman, but you can't do it for the one that makes sense on Michael Keaton Batman. And a closer look at the bat symbol on his chest. It's very specific to the 1999 film, has extra points. While they're very faint, the bat symbol itself is pretty crisp. And then his ab crunch here. Like I said before, I want as much articulation as I can get. But there's a time and a place. Personally, I think this guy should have one solid piece in the torso and then a ball joint in his waist. That is how he's moved in the movie, and it would continue to make the figure look better. It would be a little more seamless. Just my 2 cents. And then we have his fists. 2 fists to drive the Batmobile. Poor decision. I'm shocked there were no alternate gripping hands included here. Those complaints aside, I'm still very pleased. I'm happy. This figure's good. He's almost great, but a little bit short of great. We'll check out the comparisons with the NECA figure, the Mezco figure, and try to decide which one is the best representation of the 1989 Batman. Right now, I think I'm leaning toward NECA. We'll see here shortly. Now that I've taken a pretty good look at the figure and his lack of accessories, and I focus kind of on some of his faults, although I am, as a whole, pleased with the figure. Would have been nice if they included the Batarang and that other stuff, but, whatever. Now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing just about 7.2 inches tall, which can translate to just over 18 centimeters. And if you go to the top of the ears, about 7.4, maybe 7.5 inches tall. Now for his articulation. Start with his head. It can rotate from side to side, and it's a little weird seeing the Keaton Batman able to do that. You can look up and down that far. You can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint goes out a little bit more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest area, increasing the range of motion and covering the large gap that would be there. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate and is going to be hinged as well. In his torso, he's got a ball joint, rotate around, forward and back. Another one in his waist, rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion. A little bit more out of the waist than the torso on this guy. Legs, complete dust of splits. Not a ball joint, McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation, minimal. Legs go forward, almost all the way. Back, not much. Double jointed knees below that. And his ankle, forward and back. Rotate, tilt rock, and of course, he's got toe articulation. Now let's check him out. Next is some other Michael Keaton Batman figures, and we'll start off with the other Michael Keaton Batman McFarlane figures that I have. Now the Batman figure I wanted to compare him to first would be the McFarlane DC Multiverse Michael Keaton Batman that came in the movie 6-pack. But I don't have the movie 6-pack yet. It actually just shipped from McFarlane yesterday, so I'll have that in about a week or so. In the meantime, here he is, next to the Michael Keaton Batman from the Flash film. A lot of similarities, a lot of differences. I don't think there are any shared parts between these two figures. Maybe the cape, that's about it. And a closer look at both their faces and cowls. And here he is, next to the Target exclusive unmasked older Michael Keaton Batman from the Flash. This is the older version of Michael Keaton. I really hope McFarlane does a younger version of the 1989 Michael Keaton unmasked. That would be awesome. I bought an extra unmasked Michael Keaton figure to make an older Michael Keaton in civilian attire. Bruce Wayne, older version. I really hope they make a younger unmasked Michael Keaton so I can do the exact same thing with him. Here's the McFarlane DC Multiverse 1999 Michael Keaton Batman next to the NECA version. I've always been a huge fan of this NECA figure. I personally prefer it over the Mezco version. I know some people will disagree with me. Some people complain the NECA's Batman's head is far too big, and I've never felt that way until this moment right now. I'd actually think it'd be really cool if you transplant the NECA cowl and head onto the McFarlane body, although I don't know how easy that would be. I do wish there were some things McFarlane did a little bit closer to NECA. McFarlane definitely beats him in the articulation department, and I really don't think it's necessary. So let's take a quick look. So, two figures here. I'm going to have to give it a neck on the face. The cowl, the ears look a little bit better. The personality above the eyebrows, the brow, the sculpting is a little more serious, a little more defined. The mouth even looks a little better. Bat symbol is pretty similar. They both have, similar enough cloth softwood capes. He has way more articulation here. I mean, notice his torso is one solid piece. His is not. Double joints, single joints, double joints, single joints. This guy, I believe one of his shins is glued and broken, so a lot more fragile. McFarlane a lot more durable. So pros and cons for both, but as a whole, I think I'm going to give it up to the NECA one for just looking a little bit better. He looks amazing. He looks good. Almost great. He does look great. They actually made 3 different paint variations of NECA's 1999 Michael Keaton Batman. We have the movie version, the video game version, and then the Kenner Homage Tech Shield version. Then, here he is, next to the Mezco 1989 Batman. The Mezco one has a superior head sculpt, but we're looking at like a $100 figure versus a $20 figure here, so it's very understandable. I personally didn't have the best experience with my Mezco Batman. A lot of flaws. Pretty sure one of his elbows broke. His head doesn't come down far enough. The magnet came off his head and I glued it in there. The cape, it's just more trouble than it's worth, it feels like at times. And now, next to the SH Figure Arts version of the Michael Keaton Batman, I am not a fan of this figure. It's way too small. The cape sucks. I don't think it looks all that good. Here are all 4 of the different 6 and 7 inch Michael Keaton Batman figures that I have. The next one coming out is going to be the movie 6-pack, and it's going to have some minor differences. I believe the belt is more yellow versus gold, stuff like that. Here are all of the officially licensed Michael Keaton Batman figures that I have. Awesome collection. There are more to come. Michael motherfucking Keaton. Here he is, next to the Mattel DC Multiverse Michael Go Alfred. Fantastic pair. The Alfred is maybe just a hair too small next to this Batman, but I'm not that picky. I can put them together, no problem. Maybe McFarlane will give us one of these eventually. Probably not. Here are all the different McFarlane DC Multiverse movie Batman figures I have so far. Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, and Robert Pattinson. I can't wait to get the movie 6-pack to add Val Kilmer or George Clooney to the mix. But where's the love for a 7-inch scale Adam West? Then, next to a few other 1989 sort of homage figures, on the left we have the Mezco Onyx Sovereign Knight Batman, and on the right, the Mattel DC Universe Classics, all black, sort of Keaton homage Batman. And then, on the far right, the Mattel DC Multiverse Toy Biz throwback Keaton homage Batman. So now let's check out the Batmobile. It has that iconic look from the 1989 film. The black fins, sleek long look, the missile at the front. Like I said, this one is painted a little bit different from the Flash version. It's done in a flat matte black, and it's a lot more accurate to the movie. The other one is a little bit too glossy. So let's take a look. So, start with the front. We have the missile in the middle. We got some headlights. You can see the top. It's very smooth. This will be presumably where the guns come out when he needs them. The canopy matches the rest of the car. That is a huge improvement. You have different sort of engine components sticking out to the sides. Both the wheels have Batman symbol hubcaps. They actually rotate. We have the fins in the back. Yeah, you can see a little line where they attach. I wish they were already attached. They didn't have that line, but you know, whatever. We have the exhaust, big flame here, some smaller flames here, brake lights. At the bottom, it's very flat, kind of basic looking. It has the bat symbol in the middle there. It has this canopy here that if you press a button at the front here, it pops it open. It can slide forward, fit your figure inside. There's a steering wheel, all kind of different controls, console details. In addition to that, if you wanted to, you could just flip it upright, although that's not accurate to the movie. Overall, it's a very nice piece. I'd say it's an improvement in almost every way over the first release. Here are the two cars next to each other. The one on the left is from the '89 Batman Amazon 2-pack. The one on the right is from the Flash movie. Now, the cars in both the movies look pretty much the same. The Flash one, a little bit too glossy. Makes it kind of seem like a cheap toy. Although the vehicles are 100% the same sculpt, same mold, same action feature, same everything, just a different paint job. I do prefer the new one. It has a little bit of a shine to it, but it's dulled down. I'd say it's a lot more accurate. And then look at the canopy on the Flash one. It's very noticeably different. It seems like that canopy would look a lot better on this one. This canopy is actually consistent with the rest of the body of the car. Now, one other minor difference, I notice on the hubcaps here that has gold bat symbols on the Flash one, and silver on the '89 one. But now, since I have two of these cars, at least I'm happy that they're quite different. Different variations. That pleases me. Now let's put Batman into the Batmobile, a match made in heaven. So let's start by pressing the load button, releasing the canopy, slide it forward, then you take your Batman figure, put him into a sitting position, and slide him into the car. Make sure you kind of have the tape tucked around his legs and put it in that way it doesn't get all bunched up at the back. Once you get him in, his ears don't have 100% clearance behind the back. And if you don't want to bend them, just sort of turn his head and slide him in there, get him behind there. Now, as I recall with the older Batman figure from the Flash movie, you could sit him in there and then kind of wiggle around, find a sweet spot, and he'd go just a tiny bit further down so you didn't have to worry about the ears. Not a very big deal, just turn his head a tiny bit. I've seen some videos online where people have taken the car apart, cut some stuff out of the bottom so he could go in a little further. Yeah, you can do that if you want to, but not really necessary. Now, as a whole, the car looks fantastic. Has complete clearance with the canopy, with Batman. He fits, looks excellent. You can see him through the window. Now, the car itself, I'd say, is slightly underscaled for Batman. It should be a two-seater, should be perhaps a little bit longer and a little bit taller. I feel like it's maybe a 1/12 scale Batmobile, and that's why it only has room for one figure. And when this was first announced, way back when for the Flash movie, I thought to myself, there's two things that I want. I want a canopy that can slide forward, and I want a two-seater. Well, they gave us a canopy that slides forward, but they sure didn't give us a two-seater, and that was kind of important to me. I remember Batman and Vicky Vale driving this thing back to the Batcave. Now, I don't know if you know, but in the actual Batman film, his ears were way too tall for him to fit into the actual Batmobile. So they cut out the seat and he sat even lower than the seat would sit into the car just to accommodate his cowl on his head. So honestly, there's no way to make it exactly accurate to the film, as even in the film, it didn't hold Michael Keaton in the Batsuit properly. They had to manipulate it and have him sit lower. So, you know, if you take all that into consideration, I think they did a pretty good job. Yes, I would love a two-seater, but the only way to make it a two-seater is if the thing was a lot wider, a lot bigger, and it's already giant as it is. Now, this car is also scaled and fits the NECA Keaton Batman a little bit better. The NECA Batman is a tiny bit shorter and matches a scaly car a little better. Take him, put him into the sitting position, push him into the car. He fits, ears go back, complete clearance, absolutely no problem. So it works really well with McFarlane one, but even better with the NECA one or the Mezco one. The Mezco one has that cape. Don't even try to put him in there with the wired cape or the other one. Just take the cape off altogether if you're going to put the Mezco one in there, but he fits just as good as this NECA one does. Now to check out the measurements of this thing. So as far as how deep it is from front to back, about 21 inches deep. As far as how tall it is, just under 5 inches tall at the tallest point. And as far as how wide it is, from one side to the other, just about 9 inches wide. And then to check out the action features of this thing, and there's not a lot of action features. We do have the fins that come off, but that's not exactly an action feature, that's just to make it fit in the package. Now, we have the canopy. Button releases it. You can go forward. You can also go upright. Beyond that, it has wheels that actually rotate. 2 sets that rotate independently of each other, front and the back. And honestly, beyond that, there are really no action features for this car. Now, it would have been nice if this thing had some extra accessories that the other one didn't come with. Maybe some guns to attach here. And yes, I've seen some custom ones sold online. They're pretty cool. Maybe a cocoon, shields to go on top of it. A lot of different potential options. I would have gladly paid a little extra for some of those things. Still, the car is an improvement of the last one. Comes with a badass 89 Keaton Batman figure. Really, really cool display piece. They both are, for that matter. Here's an image of this Batman and the Batmobile in the Batcave with the Michael Go Alfred serving him some tea. And then that same image with a little bit of a darker, better lighting, more like the Batcave. Here's an image of Batman driving in front of a liquor store, patrolling through the streets of Gotham. Here's an aerial view of Batman driving through the streets of Gotham between a couple of buildings. And here he is, leaving Arkham Asylum, driving under the gates. Here's Batman in the Batmobile, chasing after some Joker thugs in the Joker van and some Joker cars, kind of like in the first film, although it's a little bit more in scale with the older Toy Biz version. Now let's check it out. Next to some other vehicles, starting off with some other Flash movie vehicles. Here it is, next to the Flash movie Batcycle. And here it is, next to the Spin Masters 12-inch scale Batwing. This thing scales up great with the McFarlane 7-inch figures, and it's a massive, giant vehicle, very affordable price. Looking forward to McFarlane's version of the Batwing, which is going to be even bigger. These two vehicles look to both be in Keaton's armory in the Flash film. Now let's check it out. Next is some other Keaton vehicles. Here it is, next to the older Toy Biz Michael Keaton 1989 Batmobile. This is a version without the canopy by Toy Biz that I had. Now there's a nicer one that Kenner made in the Dark Knight collection with the canopy. Never had that one, neither as a kid nor an adult. This is a version that has a shield cocoon, a plastic shell that goes on top, which is really cool. Man, I hope he gets to use the shell and the shields into the new movie. That'd be awesome. Then, next to the Toy Biz Batwing from the 1989 film, I would love a 7-inch scale version of this. And here it is, next to the Kenner Batman Returns ski boat. He used this in the second film. Would also love a bigger version of this. Now let's check it out. Next to some Batman vehicles and Batmobiles from the different live-action films. Here it is, next to both the McFarlane on the left and the Mattel version of the 1966 Batmobile. In the 66 film, they use a bunch of other vehicles. They use the Batcycle, the Batboat, and the Batcopter. Here it is, next to the Batcycle by McFarlane and Hot Wheels, as well as Batboat by McFarlane. I fully expect them to eventually give us a Batcopter from that film. And here it is, next to the older Toy Biz 1989 Batmobile. Now they use the exact same Batmobile in Batman and Batman Returns, but there's a really cool one that Kenner made that turns into the Bat-Missile. Would love to get my hands on one of those one day. In addition to the Batmobile, he used the Batwing in the 89 film. He also used the Bat Ski Boat in Batman Returns. Here it is, next to the Kenner Batman Forever Batmobile. Batman Forever was a continuation of Batman and Batman Returns, although a lot of things look different. This Batmobile was supposed to replace that Batmobile because of the Bat-Missile incident, and to give it a fresh new look. Batman Forever also had the Batboat and their own version of the Batwing. And then, here it is, next to the Kenner Batman and Robin Batmobile. It replaced the Batman Forever Batmobile, which was also destroyed in that film. They also used this Bat Hammer and Ice Vehicle, among others, at the end of the film. Here's this Batmobile with 3 different versions of the Tumbler from Batman Begins. The one on the left is Super Studios, 1/12 scale, and then the 2 on the right are a couple of versions by Mattel. Also pretty nice, but 5-inch scale. In the Dark Knight trilogy, not only did they use the Tumbler, but Batman drove the Batpod. Here are 3 different Batpods by Mattel, Mafex, and SH Figure Arts. Batman also flew the Bat in the Dark Knight Rises, Here's this new Batmobile next to the Hot Toys 1/12 scale, the Bat. Here it is, next to Mattel's basic Batman vs Superman Batmobile. This is actually the only version of the Batman vs Superman Batmobile I have in 6 or 7 scale. The only other one I'm aware of is a crazy overpriced third-party one, although I think technically it's officially licensed at this point. And even though it's nice, I can't bring myself to pay that much. But they made 3 different versions of the Batmobile from Justice League, which is the same Batmobile, but it has a cannon up top. They're all 3 by Mattel. From left to right, we have the Mattel basic version, then the Mattel DC Multiverse version, and the last one is a Mattel Ultimate DC Multiverse version that's radio controlled. In addition to Ben Affleck using the Batmobile, in Batman vs Superman, he had the Batwing. No company has made that. I would love one of those in 6-inch scale. In the film Justice League, he had a couple other vehicles, one of which was the Nightcrawler. Here's his Batmobile next to a Mattel Nightcrawler. Batman also flew the Flying Fox in Justice League, large troop transport. Here's the Mattel version next to his Batmobile. And I don't know how many of you out there noticed, but at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, we had Batfleck on top of the Bat Tank. Here's his Batmobile next to a custom Bat Tank. This one is actually from Batman The Dark Knight Returns. And the most recent Batmobile to be featured in a live-action Batman movie is the Batmobile from The Batman, driven by Robert Pattinson. Here's the Hot Wheels 1/10 scale version, and I'm really hoping to find the Spin Master 12-inch scale version. In addition to using the Batmobile in The Batman, he also drove the Batcycle on the left and the Drifter motorcycle on the right. These are both from McFarlane Toys. Here are my favorite of each of the different movie Batmobile releases they've made. From left to right, we have the Mattel 1966 Batmobile, then McFarlane's 1989 Batmobile from The Flash, then the Kenner Batman Forever Batmobile, then the Kenner Batman Robin Batmobile, then the Sub Studios Tumbler, and then the Mattel DC Multiverse Justice League Batmobile, and finally the Hot Wheels 1/10 scale the Batman Batmobile. Pretty nice collection here. Here's this Batmobile next to my cat Mulder. Now let's check it out next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman vehicles. Here it is next to their first vehicle, the Bat-Raptor. And here it is next to both versions of the Batmobeast. Then, next to all the different Batcycles McFarlane has made. Now the next vehicle, not really sure what it's going to be, but for a while there have been rumors of a Batman Beyond Batmobile, a White Knight Batmobile, and even a Hush Batmobile. Fingers are crossed. Now let's check it out next to some other Batmobiles. This is probably the best Batmobile out there for the 6 and 7-inch scale. I'd say the biggest runner-up, or possible competition, would be the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. That one looks amazing, and so does this one. That one is for 6-inch scale figures, this one for 7-inch scale. But they're both very iconic Batmobiles of the 90s. Here it is, next to both variations of the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. And I know it's not a Batmobile, but here it is next to the DC Direct Batwing from Batman the Animated Series. Arguably the most impressive Batman vehicle in the 6 and 7-inch scale out there. Now let's check it out next to some other Batmobiles in the 6 and 7-inch scale. And there aren't that many I haven't covered already. Here it is next to the Mattel comic Batmobile from 2005. This is a 2-seater for 6-inch scale figures. And here it is next to a couple more Mattel 6-inch scale Batmobiles. On the left, it's Power Attack. On the right, Batman Unlimited. Then, next to a Mattel Batman Mission 6-inch scale Batmobile. And now, next to a couple of Spin Master Batmobiles. These are actually for 12-inch scale figures, but they work great for your 6 and 7-inch scale stuff. These look kind of like they're based off the White Knight. And finally, here it is next to another Spin Master 12-inch scale Batmobile. This is more of an armored version. I'm really hoping to track down the Batman 12-inch scale Spin Master Batmobile. I got this Batmobile next to some Batman figures from different various companies. Here are several different McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman figures in front of this Batmobile. And here's McFarlane's Keaton Batman in the cockpit. This is the figure intended to go in this vehicle. And then, here's some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Batman figures in front of the Batmobile. I don't think I have a single DC Direct Batman figure without a plastic cape, except for this Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Batman. And he's a little bit smaller than your average DC Direct figure. And even he was kind of hard to fit in the cockpit, mostly because of how his legs are. So DC Direct, for the most part, is a no-go. And here's some NECA Batman figures standing in front of this car. And here's the NECA Keaton Batman in his Batmobile. Fits better than the McFarlane version. Then, some Mezco 112 collective Batman figures in front of this car. Here's the Mezco 89 Keaton Batman in the car. Very roomy, almost feels like he's a little bit too small for it. Here are some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Batman figures in front of the car. Here's the Mattel Batman Forever Batman with a cloth cape in the cockpit. Fits just fine. Here are several Mafex Batman figures in front of this car. Here's the Mafex Batfleck in this car. Fits just fine. And finally, here are some SH Figuarts Batman figures in front of the Batmobile. And then the SH Figuarts 1989 Keaton Batman in this car. And mostly because of the cloth cape, it was really hard to get this guy into the... So overall, this is an amazing Batman and Batmobile action figure set. This is the first Batman and Batmobile action figure set that McFarlane has done, and I hope they do some more. With the other movie figures coming out, maybe they'll do a Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, or some comic Batmobiles. There have been some on the rumored list for a very long time. I would take each and every one they would give us. This thing is phenomenal. So the Batman himself, I'm going to rate him an 8 out of 10. The figure's good. He's better than good. But the things that are keeping him from being great is, I wish the head and neck was one solid piece. Personally, I wish that he didn't have the torso articulation. He needed to have some gripping hands. And if he had some regular accessories like a batarang and a grapple gun they've already made, they could have just thrown him in with this thing. That would put him at almost a 9.5 out of 10. Just a couple things holding him back. It's still a very nice figure, very iconic. It's very obviously the Michael Keaton Batman, but there's just a couple things that, I don't know, make him feel a little off to me. Now the Batmobile. This Batmobile is an improvement over the other one, and the other one is absolutely amazing. The only real issue is the fact that it's maybe a tiny bit too small, and it's not a two-seater. I know there's a lot of people bummed out that it's not a two-seater, and that sucks. I do wish that it had something a little bit extra with it. The cocoon, the guns, anything. Still, it's awesome. It is an improvement, and that's going to frustrate some people as this Amazon one is pretty difficult to obtain. If you want to go on the secondary market, it's probably going to cost you every bit twice as much as it originally was. This thing retails at $74.99. The original Batmobile at $59.99. Both amazing value for their prices. Now, if I were to rate the Batmobile, probably going to give it a 9 out of 10. And I realize that maybe I'm overrating it a little bit, but it is better than the last one. The last one I really, really enjoy, and I'm going to enjoy this one even more. I just do wish it could hold two figures. But I also realize it'd have to be bigger and wider, and I don't know if I want it to be bigger. It's already huge and takes up a lot of space. Not that I'm complaining about that. I have the space for it. But now I have two of these cars. I mean, four of them if you want to count the ones that I've still sealed in box. So it does take a lot of space. As far as I'm concerned, it's damn near perfect. Okay, it's not perfect. It has some flaws. But I can see past them because just having this thing, this size, this scale, that actually fits McFarlane figures is amazing. So as a whole, I'm going to give this set an 8.5 out of 10. Very nice set. I really hope they do stuff like this moving forward. If they do like a Batman Forever Batmobile, I hope they do an Amazon set with the Batman Forever Batman and the Batmobile. They also have in the 6-pack. I expect to get a single release eventually of these guys. I'd expect to get a single release of the Keaton Batman with maybe a plastic cape in the future. We'll see. I don't really know, but I can't imagine they're only going to let us get him through the 6-pack and the Amazon exclusive Batmobile and Batman 2-pack. There's no way they're not going to make a single release eventually. Either way, I'm very happy to have this. I was very disappointed when I missed the initial pre-order at Amazon, but I got it when they put it back out about an hour later. But man, that thing was only available for a couple of minutes at a time. Very popular, very sought after, very in demand. So, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.